Hello, welcome back to another episode of Bing Woodworking, the road from novice to pro in woodworking and DIY. For this video, I'm going to review a tool that I use in my shop a lot. And it's one of those tools where I think, why didn't I get this sooner? That tool, the Kreg Tracksaw. So let's get into it. So I've been using this saw for a little over a year, almost a year and a half now. I'm not going to make a review on a tool that I just got out of the box or a tool that I've just barely used. So first of all, the first reason why I bought this is, honestly, complete disclosure, I didn't feel comfortable on my table saw. New to woodworking, especially the larger pieces, the sheet goods. I was nervous I was going to hurt myself, nervous I was going to mess up an expensive project, have to spend more money on materials. So I got this to help me out. So the initial reason was kind of a crutch. This turned from a crutch into a go-to. I actually prefer it for larger sheet goods. So let me get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. I have used this track saw to cut numerous species of hardwood, including black walnut, white oak, red oak, and I've still got the original blade on the saw that came with it. I haven't changed it out. I've not had a need to. So this thing has the power and the capability to tackle just about anything you can throw at it. I've cut as much as 1.5 inches thick. I think it's got the capability to cut 2 inches plus. The track and the saw have been extremely reliable. So I'll quit just rambling on and I'll start getting into some of the features of the saw. So one of the good things with this saw is it's a left-sided blade. My regular old circular saw is a right-sided blade, and I always felt it was awkward looking over the saw at where the blade goes. I'm right-handed, so when I'm using my right hand, I can see where the blade meets the material pretty easy. So on the good side, I want to say that this thing, it's just simply ergonomic. It feels comfortable in my hand. It's heavy enough to feel sturdy, but light enough not to feel bulky and cumbersome. It's got a mixture of metal and plastic, probably more plastic than metal. It just feels comfortable, and hey, I've dropped it, not gonna lie. It has fallen off this table for sure several times. Takes a lick, keeps on ticking. So right here, it's got a depth gauge, and this depth gauge is pretty accurate from everything that I've experienced. So it's got marks here for the depth of 3/4 inch plywood, and it's been fairly accurate. It's got an angle finder here if you're going to do a chamfer or if you need to do an angled cut. I've only taken mine off zero one time. It did good enough on that one experience. Most of my cuts that I'm going to do with this are going to be right angle cuts, 90 degrees. And here you have a depth stop. So if I was doing 3/4 inch plywood, that mark right there, I can set that depth stop and it's not going to go down below it. Also, something else I like about this, doing those longer rip cuts, you can see right there, it's got a riving knife. So if there's tension in that wood and you're worried about a little kickback, it does have a riving knife on that. Not to mention, it has an anti-kickback option right here. You can turn it on or you can turn it off, and I'll show you more about that a little bit later. You cannot depress it without hitting this thumb trigger right here, so that's good. Now this is very good. I want to mention this. You can see the shroud. It's just got a little gap right there to see the window. The dust collection is excellent. I can hook on my shop vac to this, or my dust collection. I got this hose, I can't remember if I got it from Rockler or Woodcraft, but it's got this little universal connector on there, and it works great. So that goes on. Well, I don't spew dust all over my shop. These are adjusters for once it's in the track. If you find that it's got a little play or if it's a little loose in the track when you first put it on there, you can adjust it with these and get it to where It's tight enough for you to be comfortable, but not too much slop. Here's another pro. It's adjustable speed. Got a speed dial right here. Has a splinter guard right here that's adjustable, so that'll help reduce your tear out. The price versus the competitors. I was looking at the Festool, the Makita, and a couple others. Unfortunately, I've never seen a Milwaukee Tracksaw. I would think that they would have one, but I've never seen one. But in price, this was on the low end. And I was really afraid that I was going to be making a huge compromise by getting this that I would regret. And it's quite the opposite. I feel like I can hold on to this and use this for a long time before I'll find a need for an upgrade. Alright, now some of the, a few of the negatives. I honestly had to think hard and rack my brain on these. I did not find clamps for this track. The track has these anti-skid pads on the bottom. They work great. Rarely do I find a time where I'm needing to clamp something down. If I do, it's usually an odd shaped piece. I had to go to Woodcraft and buy these clamps, and each one of these clamps $25. For 2 clamps it was 50 bucks. But these fit in here just fine. One other thing that is both good and bad is this fits on the end of the track, and it will help your cord and your vacuum hose keep from getting snagged. But it only attaches with one screw on there, so it feels a bit flimsy, and most of the time I just don't use it. Another good thing about this one, you can do plunge cuts with it, and with the anti-kickback option I can do it comfortably and safely. I will give a few tips on using this thing. I have a habit of putting my track on the material. Let's just say it's plywood, whatever it's going to be. And I want to line that track up just perfect. And then I feel like I'm ready to go. Then I go get my saw, then I get my extension cord, my vacuum hose. I hook everything up and then I put my saw in there. Well, guess what? Now the track's moved. So unless you're going to clamp it down, which I most of the time don't, put your saw on there with everything hooked up before you start micro adjusting your track to make sure it's just right on the line where you want it. These tracks are 62 inches long, so it's pretty rare that I need to connect 2 of these unless I'm doing long material. To connect 2 of these tracks, use these in here to wedge them in there, and then it's got 4 set screws in each of these to tighten them up. On the good side of this tool is it has integrated storage for 2 Allen wrenches right here. But guess what? Neither of those Allen wrenches fit this. So I've got a separate Allen wrench that I have to keep track of. And what I finally did is I put a piece of blue electrical tape that's the same color as the Kreg saw around the middle of it, so I don't flip through a dozen Allen wrenches looking for the right size, because I can never remember. And I'm horrible about storing my Allen wrenches where they're supposed to go. They usually just end up in a pile in a drawer. So, because of that. But on the good side of these tracks is they are 62 inches long, which is great because you need to be able to start your cut before the material, and you need to be able to follow through after the material. So if you're cross-cutting a piece of plywood that's 48 inches long, you've got several inches front and back that you can work with on the track. So I was going to show you this anti-kickback function. Right now, go forward, go backwards, fairly easy. This little red switch, it's right here underneath the motor. This little red switch, pointing towards the back. The only reason it's coming backwards is because the whole track's coming backwards. So it's not coming backwards. I flip that off, and here we go. Something else is on the good side. I mentioned this angle meter up here, 0 to 45. Of course, it's got a lock screw here, but I'm going to count this on the good side too. On the back, there's a set screw or lock screw here too. So it doesn't just lock in one spot on the front or back, it locks them both, so you don't get that slop. I don't have experience with the Festool. I don't have experience with the Makita. I simply couldn't afford to invest $1,000 plus in getting the Tracksaw, the track, the extra track, the accessories, everything that I needed to get going. With this, I was able to afford not only the tool, but everything that I needed to get with the tool in order to use it with success. So as far as bang for the buck, this is my boy right here. If you got anything out of this, I hope you did. Please think about a like and a subscribe. I'm a new channel here. Every like and subscription is greatly appreciated. Also, if you have any comments, good, bad, or indifferent, I always respond to comments and questions. My name's Doug. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.